what are needs? The term here is, we need to first understand the term needs before we understand some of the variables attached to needs analysis. Okay. Well, the term needs doesn't seem to be as straightforward as it appears to be. I mean, it involves the different complications, different some other variables. Okay. At its face value, I mean, the term needs refers to the wants, desires, lacks, strengths, weaknesses of learners. I mean, what language proficiency or deficiency a particular group of learners have. Okay. And the needs on its face value also appears to suggest like what sort of expectations learners have about a specific course and what's their motivation level. Okay. And what requirements they have or their family have about language learning, right? Okay. That's a sort of general description of needs. Okay, the term needs. Through needs analysis, obviously, we come to know about the gaps between the existing knowledge of language and the current knowledge of and the desired knowledge of language learning, right? So, what this suggests is like needs is a sort of term which is just on the street and can be identified. Okay? Is just like you just go in the classroom, conduct the needs analysis, and then gather the information, and that's done. But needs analysis is more than this. I mean, it involves some other complications. It's not an objective reality. Rather, it's sort of, you know, it's a sort of post method approaches attached to needs analysis, which looks at needs analysis from subjective point of view. I mean, there are, and I think we can see this one in the light of this quote. Need is not a thing that exists, okay, and might be encountered ready-made on the street. Very clear. Rather, it is constructed, which means we need to unearth, it is constructed in the center of conceptual frameworks and the product of a number of epistemological choices. I mean, it's about making judgments about what sort of needs a particular group of learners have. I mean, I am often, you know, quoting this example like that language learners are not a homogeneous group. Rather, they are heterogeneous, which means they are a combination of different variables, right? For example, Chinese students might be different needs of language learning as compared to Pakistani students of language learning, right? So this quote quite clearly indicates that needs is not a term which is it's not an objective reality. Rather, it's a subjective reality, which means which involves some subjective needs as well. Okay, and while conducting needs analysis, the purpose of defining the term needs is that while conducting needs analysis, we need to be clear about this term, right? Okay, and of course, an example from my own personal experience. For example, while living in the UK for several years, I've seen many, you know, Pakistani migrants there, and they actually, you know, want English, which is sufficient enough to make them survive in that particular society. On the other hand, they don't, I mean, I've seen some families there that some families, especially the women, they don't want English, which could, you know, influence their culture or force them to accept the dominant culture of native English. So this is how the term needs has its wider scope. So we need to understand the term needs at its local and wider level. I mean, by local, I mean the language needs of the students, and the wider means some of the needs going beyond the language. For example, their motivation, their cultural aspect, or their political or religious aspect as well.